What is up, fellas? The Goob here. Back with another episode of Rewriting History with me, the Goob. I made a mistake today. I normally eat meat and fruit. That is my diet. And today I decided to eat a salad, and my stomach is letting me know that it does not appreciate it. So, sorry I'm running a little late. And there is a chance that I will have to take a break in this meeting. We'll see. So, I said that I was going to be coming at you this week with some news about the vases and nubs, right? There's some issues with the nubs. There's some exciting new information about the vases coming out, which is very cool. But also, my approach with the vases has been trying to be as conservative as possible. The vases are very clearly evidence that history needs rewritten, but I was trying to keep it as conservative as possible. And the more I've learned, the more I think about it, the clearer it's becoming that these vases, as significant as I initially thought they were, are a hell of a lot more significant than I initially thought. So, not going to be covering that this week. Something else came up. This is way too important. I have to talk about this week, but hopefully next week we'll get to the nubs, we'll get to the vases. There's some cool stuff coming. But this week, today's episode is a two-parter. The first part is a message of absolute doom and gloom, a very dire warning that history is very seriously at risk of being completely erased and rewritten. And not rewritten in the way that I want to rewrite it, where I'm looking for the truth, but a further, much further removal from the truth. And more importantly, just a complete erasure of history. It is actively happening now. It's currently happening, and it will continue accelerating, and the acceleration will continue accelerating. It's a very bad situation. The second part of this episode is a message of genuine hope, a message that you, as an individual, can actually make a difference in this fight, that you can actually help save history. You can be a very serious thorn in the side of the people, the powers that want to control and erase history. You can fight back against this. So, as usual, I've got all of the thoughts that I want to cover in my head. Not entirely sure the flow, but I'm going to start with NAGPRA and go from there. So, in 1980s, 1990s, NAGPRA was established. Initially, NAGPRA only covered human remains. So it's the Native American Grave Repatriation Act, I think. And the reason this was created is because you genuinely had people walking into museums and seeing their grandfather on display. Like that was happening in America before NAGPRA. And so NAGPRA was installed. Let's, show some respect to these Native Americans. Let's not display their ancestors, their family members. And so it became illegal for anyone to present in any way these Native American remains to the public. You weren't allowed to show pictures of them. You weren't even really allowed to talk about them. And it also gave Native Americans a lot of control over the excavations themselves. So if you came onto their land and you wanted to dig, their ancestors, you had to get their permission to do so first. In 2012, this law was updated and it was broadened to the most ridiculously broad, as broad as it could possibly be made, it was. So NAGPRA does not just apply to bodies anymore, but it applies to the entirety of pre-Columbian, before Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, right? All American history before Columbus. So all Native American history, which also includes a lot of history after Columbus. The natives didn't just cease to exist when Columbus got here, but everything before 1492 and a good deal after is now completely illegal to present to the public. Anything that is even potentially relating to burials, ceremonies, objects of significance, heirlooms, or religion is now 100% illegal for the public to know anything about. You're not allowed to see the artifacts themselves. You're not allowed to see recreations of the artifacts. You're not allowed to see pictures. You're not allowed to read written descriptions. This applies to books and magazines and research papers. These things are now illegal for the public to know about. And that is the law. That is the NAGPRA law. They have made American history entirely illegal for the American public to know about. Now, that's the law as written. How is the law actually being enforced and enacted? I can tell you there's a lot of articles from newspapers shortly after January the 12th writing about how museums literally threw tarps over their exhibits because they became illegal on the 12th. So a lot of museums, a lot of universities, the largest sources of this type of information are taking this very seriously. They are actively removing this information and hiding it from the public because they're legally required to. And these institutions are used to dealing with NAGPRA. Universities and museums, they are who deals with NAGPRA the most. And so they're used to it. NAGPRA doesn't just apply to these public institutions, though. NAGPRA applies to all businesses, to all organizations, all institutions, all groups that have ever, at any point in time, doesn't matter how far back it was, if they have ever accepted a single cent of federal money, which after COVID, pretty much every single business in America falls into that category, they are now also subject to these NAGPRA laws. It is now illegal for them as well to present any of this American history to the public. Now, I have looked at, I've talked to history societies, and they have confirmed that they have pulled all of their images and information off of their shelves, off of online, right? I have also found some smaller, museums and stuff like that, which do still have some of this stuff on display in violation of NAGPRA. There's also, Google, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, these bookstores and things like that. They have not removed everything that potentially violates this law yet. I've looked. Okay, you can still find some of this stuff, but this stuff is now illegal. It is technically illegal. Those businesses could get a very significant fine from the government for continuing to sell these and have them on their shelves. Okay, so on the 12th, a great deal of information was immediately wiped out. The largest museums, the largest universities, the largest online repositories of these types of images and information, they're all gone already. They're all gone. It's already been erased. There's still some that is out there. So is this law being strictly enforced across the board currently? It doesn't seem like it, but the framework is in place now. So all of this stuff hasn't been entirely erased yet, but the framework is in place. It is all illegal. And the trend is not that more of this stuff is going to be added to the shelves. The trend is that this stuff is gradually going to continue disappearing until absolutely none of it is left. So NAGPRA alone is a massive source of erasing history. It's erased the most powerful countries powerful country in the world, its history is now gone. It's gone. But it gets a lot worse than NAGPRA. Yeah, kind of would be, but I also understand why. If a couple weeks ago you visited your grandfather's grave, and then you're walking into a museum and you go, "What the hell? Why is It's like if people are just going there's a bit of a difference if it's like, yeah, my grandpa volunteered to be in the museum or something like that versus like, yeah, we just dug him up and stuck him in there. I can understand why people would be upset about that. But I don't know, this might mess things up. Yep, I just messed things up. Give me a moment. Oh, it fixed itself. Okay. Yeah, this works. So a lot of people in the alternate history community are waking up to the fact that archaeology is dead, that history is dead, that these people cannot be trusted, that arguing with them is a waste of time. You're arguing with liars and people who are not arguing in good faith. And so there's been this divestment and divergence where this entirely new institution is being created. This a new institution of archaeology and history, which is fantastic. But a lot of these people in this field, Dan, Jimmy, Bright Insight, right? They're coming out and openly saying that history is dead, archaeology is dead. This branch of science has been so entirely corrupted that it's useless now. It's worse than useless now. And so I'm not the only one seeing this, right? There is this growing movement becoming aware of this and creating their own new movement. And it's not just us seeing this either. It's also the archaeologists and the institutions that are seeing this and becoming aware of this. And so they are doubling down and they are becoming more aggressive in their, attacks on people who question the narrative and their efforts to cover up history and keep it out of the public's hand. They are afraid. They are genuinely afraid, and they should be. Their careers are shams. People are waking up to this, and people are, rapidly stopping caring about what they have to say and think. And so they're very scared, they're very threatened, and they're acting like they're scared and they're threatened. And so this acceleration of, the degradation of history, the destruction of history, the obfuscation of history, it's only going to get worse as more and more people are waking up to this. And, NAGPRA is not the only thing that it's one law for one country. It's an incredibly significant law for an incredibly significant country. NAGPRA is not to be, downplayed, right? But it is just one law for one country. But there is a pattern of this happening across the world. You can look at Gunung Padang, right? They overtly shut down. They met with the president of Indonesia and told him, "Hey, buddy, you don't want to do this," right? They're taking very overt actions, direct actions to stop the exploration of history. There's Göbekli Tepe, which again, the WEF coming in and shutting it down. You have archaeologists openly praising the idea of literally covering Göbekli Tepe in concrete. You have archaeologists openly praising the fact that people are planting trees on top of Göbekli Tepe. You have all of this just completely backwards insanity coming from the mainstream. And you also have the Internet Archive. There's a very active push to ban the Internet Archive. I don't know if you're familiar with the Internet Archive, but it is a website where you can catalog pages. So say, a newspaper comes out with an article, you can save it on Internet Archive, and it will save that web page as it is at that date and archive it. So later, if the newspaper updates, the article, changes it or deletes it or anything like that, you still have that record through Internet Archive. And it doesn't just apply to newspapers, this applies to everything, right? And they are actively trying to ban the Internet Archive. Why would you possibly want to ban that unless you are trying to erase history and the knowledge of the past, and not just history, but like any knowledge of the past? Like obviously I'm talking about ancient history and stuff like that, but this has broader implications. This is a very serious threat to information in general. Stolenhistory.net. I may have just shadow banned this video for saying that. I know that you're not allowed to type it on YouTube. If I type stolenhistory.net into my description, it will not allow me to upload a video. If you type it into the comment section, maybe someone can test this for me. I'm not sure because normally if you say something YouTube doesn't like, it just shadow bans you. It doesn't tell you that you're not able to comment or anything like that. It just removes your comment quietly. I think if you type stolenhistory.net into a comment, it might actually pop up with a message and be like, you can't say that here. Search engines. Oh, I'm having issues again. Fellas. But if you search for it on search engines, you'll exclusively get results that are telling you that stolenhistory.net no longer exists. And these are like from years ago when the website went temporarily down, was taken down temporarily years ago. Those are the only results you get, explicitly telling you, yeah, this website doesn't exist anymore. It does. It's just unsearchable and hidden. Why, with everything on the internet, why would stolenhistory.net receive a level of censorship that, as far as I know, pretty much only applies to Alex Jones? Why are people talking about alternate history such a threat? But it's just kind of crazy. And further going down this internet path, right? I've talked about this a lot, how internet search results are becoming more and more and more filtered. It's getting ridiculous, the level of filtering that's occurring. I had some really, really good examples, and I've totally forgotten them. But yeah, you can search if you. Man, I had some great examples. They're escaping me. But I'll just explain how this works, right? Because unlike stolenhistory.net, stolenhistory.net is blacklisted. You cannot find stolenhistory.net in search results, no matter how you search. It doesn't matter how specific your search terms are. You could cut and paste a paragraph that someone posted on stolenhistory.net and put it into the search bar, and it wouldn't come up with stolenhistory.net. You're not going to see it. It's blacklisted. It will not show that website. But the way that this happens in general is not through blacklisting, it's through whitelisting. So everybody knows about the Great Pyramids. The Great Pyramids are never ever going to be blacklisted. They're a whitelisted topic. You can go look up the Great Pyramids. Try and find something that's very vaguely related to the Great Pyramids, but not actually, and you're likely to still only get results for the Great Pyramids because that's a whitelisted topic. So everything else that is not whitelisted just doesn't show up. It's not banned. And if you were to have a website and you copied and pasted a paragraph from that website and put it in the search engine, you'd pull it up. It would actually pull up the website at that point. But without that very specific wording, that direct quote from that website or something like that, you're just going to get Great Pyramids, because that's the whitelisted topic. And so that's the way this works, is the narrowing of the search results is not from banning things. It's just from approving certain things, because it would be a monumental task to ban and remove everything that might potentially cause issues with the narrative and things like that. It's much easier to just whitelist things and go, here's what you're allowed to talk about. Ignore everything else. And if you already have all of the knowledge of this topic, you have, dates and specific names and locations and things like that, okay, sure, you can look it up and you can find more information on it. But unless you have that extremely specific information, you're never going to see it. And it now exists purely in people's memories. This is 1984. This is 1984 in a way that would make 1984 blush, right? Because in 1984 it was physical paper. Yes, the newspaper would come out with news stories every day that were, completely new, and you would burn the old paper, destroying the history, and here's the new narrative, right? Well, but you have a physical record, like you could hide things away, it's a lot more difficult to actually physically erase the past. But online, they have full control of the information flow. They're in full control of what you see and what you don't. So along with what I was just describing with the whitelisting and the filtering of search results, that's getting more and more extreme by the day, you also have things like the internet removing the ability to search in the past. So you used to be able to go on Google, you go, I want to search October 13th of 2004. I want results that were posted from that day. You can't do that anymore. And not only can you not search in the past, but the time frame, along with the whitelisting, right? The time frame of results that you're receiving from Google is increasingly narrowing. You are getting more and more recent results only. You search for something and you get, even if it's something that like exclusively applies to the past, say it's something that really only was happening like 10 years ago. It was an event from 10 years ago. You're more likely to find like AI articles written about that event from the last 6 months than you are to find anything from that time period that you're directly searching for. And this time period is only going to continue narrowing. It's going to get to the point where it is 1984, where yesterday's search results no longer exist. You have today's exclusively. I'm not being hyperbolic here. I very genuinely believe that this is the course we're on. I last week I mentioned that I was not born with the inherent ability of being an engineer. I cannot look at things and just see them the way an engineer can. There's people that are born with that ability. Okay? I wasn't. But what I was born with was the ability to look at large data sets, to look at seemingly unrelated things and draw connections and see how they interplay and build a big picture. I'm really, really terrible with details. Honestly, I've been impressed with how well I've been able to remember things like names and dates. I'm horrible at that. And I haven't been that good at it, but I've been better than I expected myself to be. But what I'm really good at is creating a big picture, looking at all of the little details, digesting them, and then extracting the implications from them and adding those implications to the bigger picture. And I'm very good at seeing trends and patterns and predicting, what's the course that we're currently on. And the course that we are currently on is the complete and total erasure of history, right? How many of you have seen articles about the original Scottish people being black or Irish or whoever, right? UK used to be black. All the kings, they were black. I have seen legitimate, like, scholarly articles that are making these claims. And sure, we laugh at them now and we go, how utterly ridiculous. But what happens in a couple years when, if it even takes that long, when you try and look up, Scottish history, and the only results you're getting are talking about how Scottish people were black? And then you look at media, pop culture, all of the TV shows, all of the movies, all of the Scottish kings are black. And so you end up with, these old boomers, not literal boomers. I'm using that as anyone who's old, right? These racist, crazy boomers talking about how, yeah, the UK was white. It was all white people. And then you have this younger generation who's grown up with media that's exclusively portrayed it as black. You have internet search results from, scholarly sources claiming, yeah, it's always been black. And then you have these kooks going, no, dude, the UK used to be white. What are you talking about? There was never any black people here. And the newer generation goes, listen to these crazy racist old fucks. That is the path that we are heading down. And it's not just rewriting to make, British people black. It's an entire erasure of history. You have laws in the majority of Western nations against questioning the Holocaust, and several nations, for denying, but many even just questioning the Holocaust is enough to land you in prison. And the countries that don't have explicit laws, of which there are many, on Holocaust denial and questioning, like explicitly on the Holocaust, there are many countries that have laws on the books directly saying you cannot question the Holocaust. But most other Western countries that don't have laws that directly reference the Holocaust, you still get thrown in jail under their hate speech laws or whatever they call them in their country, if you were to question the Holocaust. I'm not sharing any opinions on the Holocaust now. I'm just showing that, again, there is framework for making history illegal. You have NAGPRA, you have laws on questioning the Holocaust. You are not allowed to question the narrative of history. You get thrown in jail for questioning the narrative of history. And yes, that's a specific topic, but that's how it starts. If you think that's not going to be broadened, if you think, 10, 20 years from now, if you go, yeah, Scottish people weren't originally black, if you think you're not getting sent to the gulag for that, I got a newsflash for you, fellas. That is absolutely coming down the pipeline. That is absolutely what we are trending towards. So let me read this and then I'll jump back into it. Vaziz. Yeah, it's entirely possible that you do, Mr. Galunas, and that's the whole second half of this, is to really hammer home that, like, we live in a world where so much is wrong. There's so much wrong with the world today, but the world is such a big place. There's so many people, and there's so many powerful forces, and you're just you. What can you do to fix all of the wrongs in the world? Nothing, right? At least that's how I very frequently feel. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I see so much wrong with the world, and I feel absolutely powerless to change the vast majority of it. But in this instance, you as an individual do have the power to change it. You do have the power to fight back, and in a very genuine way. And this is a very, very important fight for you and others to participate in. Like, the erasure of history, if they succeed and they fully erase and rewrite history, there's really not much that they can't do at that point. Once that is accomplished, their tyranny knows no bounds. They control everything at that point. They have full control. We can stop that. At the very least, we can seriously slow it down and make their job a hell of a lot more difficult. So that's what the second half is going to be about. And I mean it so sincerely. Like, I really, truly mean that you can make a difference here. You can be a hero. You can actually impact the world and the entire trajectory of humanity. Like, I don't think I'm overselling this. The erasure of history is such a serious, serious problem. And your ability to fight back against it is greater than your ability to fight back against just about anything else that I can think of. You actually can make a difference. But that's coming up. Yeah, I just threw it. Whatever. Hodge twins. Baby, Hodge twins. I like them. They're funny. They're very funny. Does that even exist? I don't know if that exists, Mr. Laser. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist because I'm pretty sure any historian who is willing to discuss that is now no longer a historian. They are pushed out of that field very quickly. And in fact, there was, I forget what country, but there have been university professors who have been thrown in jail for, suggesting that maybe the narrative of the Holocaust, maybe the masturbation death machines, aren't entirely true. He was thrown in jail for that. So, it's I don't think a historian like that exists, because if they did, they would no longer be a historian. Maybe. I think, I've long believed that really the basis of all of these secret organizations, the Illuminati, all that kind of stuff, their foundation is this ancient knowledge. Do they know everything? I would guess probably not. But they obviously know a hell of a lot more than we, the public, do. And it's really hard to speculate on what exactly it is that they know. I think that part of it is the cycle of destruction. I think that part of it is the reality that humans have risen and fallen on this planet as, great societies many times in the past. This 12,000 year cycle of destruction that we are rapidly approaching the end of again. I think that's all part of it. Beyond that, I really struggle to speculate about what all they know and don't know. But they definitely want to be the only people who know it, right? So they don't want more discoveries being made. They don't want more information to the public. And aliens, maybe. But, I'm going to get into this next week with the vases. I think the vases are actually evidence of genuine high technology. Like I said, I've been trying to keep it as conservative as possible. And I'm talking about simple lathes and stuff like that. But I broke it. But I think that I think this is proof of a hell of a lot more than just a simple lathe. I'm going to go into that next week. I don't really like the word high technology, because what does it mean? A simple lathe is high technology for Egypt. That pre-dynastic Egypt didn't have that. That's thousands of years ahead of its time. That's high technology, right? But no, I'm saying like stuff comparable to what we have today. So I think that would probably be what they're hiding. And did that stuff come about because of aliens? Maybe. I'm totally open to the idea of ancient aliens. I'm not sold on it by any means, but I'm totally open to it. I mean, a lot of people accept the idea that aliens could be here today. that's not seen as so crazy anymore. I remember when that was a crazy idea that people, oh, if you believe aliens are here on Earth, like, whoa, you're a whack job. Now that's a pretty normal mainstream line of thought, I feel like. But for some reason, ancient aliens, that's still ridiculous. The idea that they're here today, cool beans. The idea they were here in the past, no way, you lunatic. So maybe, but I think it's just generally, human history, um, how advanced we were and stuff like that, that they don't want coming out. My chat's being a little, there we go. It's not wanting, there we go. Now I got it. Yeah, well, I'm not trolling you. You really can make a difference. You genuinely, truly can. Good question. Good question. Yeah, I'm not convinced of that either, Mr. Laser. You'll certainly have it for longer, right? It'll outlast other things, but I wouldn't count on it forever. Wouldn't say always. Okay, so there was a few other things that I wanted to cover a little bit. Um, I don't even remember how I intended to relate this, but hopefully you can draw some parallels. The EU, the entire EU, when the Ukraine-Russia war kicked off, criminalized all Russian media. So any Russian news or anything like that, you're not allowed to post it online. You're not allowed to see it on the TV. You're not. It's 100% illegal across the entirety of the United Kingdom. I guess just establishing patterns of information control and erasure of information and stuff like it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's ramping up. It's really ramping up. Um, a, a an injured animal is the most dangerous, right? And these archaeologists and historians, they are backed into a corner and very injured. They're dying and they know it. They're going to be very, very dangerous. They already are, and it's going to get worse. Um, yeah, I think I pretty well covered the doom and gloom. Hopefully, you guys are getting the picture. I genuinely don't think I'm being hyperbolic in anything I'm saying here. When I'm talking about the complete erasure of history, when I'm talking about a 1984 world where you literally have today's information and nothing but that, and it's just now the narrative of now. Um, I'm not being hyperbolic. I genuinely believe that is the trend we are on. If people do not resist, if things go the way they did, say, during COVID, which currently they are, NAGPRA just happened, not a peep. Not a peep, right? So if they continue getting more and more aggressive with their control and people just allow it to happen, I think we are like, it's not even that far off what I'm describing. I'm not even talking about decades and decades from now. I'm talking like years from now, like a few. Um, I genuinely believe that. I could be wrong, and hopefully I am wrong because people do fight back. Hopefully I am wrong because people don't just allow this to happen. So, on to the next topic, not allowing this to happen. I hope you guys liked the thumbnail I made today. I liked the thumbnail I made today. I don't usually put much effort into my thumbnails, but I did today. This is going to take a minute for me to set this back up with StreamYard. Yeah, just give me a moment, and then I'll get into the message of hope. But yeah, I was quite proud of this thumbnail. I like this thumbnail a lot. I like Smokey the Bear. Am I on the wrong internet? I am on the wrong internet. Yeah, and you know, people fight against things that they are aware of. That is what I'm trying. I'm trying to raise awareness for NAGPRA, and I think that would be a really big first step. Like if people realized that an entire nation's history can just be made illegal like that, and not some insignificant country, but the United States of America. If people wake up to that reality, I think you're gonna have it's gonna have a much broader effect than just realizing NAGPRA is possible. They're gonna go, holy crap! If they're doing this, what else are they doing? And you have all these people like myself and Jimmy and Dan from Debunking. Dan on his live stream the other night, he's like, I don't even trust the hard data anymore. These people are so so dishonest that, like, not only do I not trust the narrative, not only do I not trust their interpretations, but I don't even trust the hard data that of the research that they're putting out. All right, I've almost got it set up. Phone is loading. But I'm not in here yet. Why am I not in here? Now I'm in here. Hey, fellas. Uh-oh. How's that? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me and I sound good. Or actually, you know what might be even better? Let me mute this and unmute that. All right. Nope. Still an echo. Okay. We'll go back to that. I think you guys can hear me. Let me know. The sound is fine. Great. Okay. Yeah. So things are quite dire. You've got the search engines, right? And it's hard to it's like if they can just control all of the information and remove it from search engines, what can you really do? There we go. Sorry, fellas. I really haven't fully figured out StreamYard stuff, and I don't know what just happened. What is going on? What the hell just happened? By the time I get this set up, the Zoom's gonna be ready to launch again. Okay, I don't know if you guys. All right, I think we're good. I think we're good. I really appreciate. I just got your message, and on Discord, and that's really great to hear. I don't know if I can get it down to 2 minutes. I don't know if I can do that, but I really, really, truly appreciate that offer because I hate editing. I don't have time for it, and I just hate it. So thank you. That is unbelievable. I will take you up on that. Okay. So, how do you fight back against this when they control, the institutions of archaeology and science? Well, as I've said before and I've said today, there is a growing movement that is completely separating itself from these institutions. It is establishing its own institution. You have people like Wandering Wolf who are going out and doing uh, real archaeology and real work and real discovery, and it's amazing. Um, he just recently posted some photos from the Montana megaliths on his YouTube. And I had been looking for the third photo in his series for a while. It's a new photo. He's in it. I've never seen this photo before, but of the location, right? I thought it was a part of the Sage Wall. It is not. It's a nearby wall that is also in Montana. I don't know how many miles away, but it's in the same general location as the Sage Wall. And it's a very similar wall made out of, I believe, the same type of rock, except in one portion of the wall, there's all this black granite on the left, black granite on the bottom, black granite on the right, black granite on the top, and then in the middle, you've got two blocks of yellow granite or some other stone, right? A completely, and they're not squared, but they are cut flat-sided, polygonal blocks. And nature doesn't do that. Nature doesn't do that. So, small sidetrack there. But yeah, the Sage Wall and all that stuff, totally man-made. North American megaliths, pretty big deal. But we have people like Jimmy who are going, yeah, archaeology is dead. People are realizing that they don't even have to engage these frauds anymore. They don't have to rely on them. They can do their own research. They can come to their own conclusions. They don't have to argue with archaeology and change their minds. Like, that's what they used to do. It used to be this back and forth, this fight, alternate history versus archaeology. And now they're just going, you guys have so thoroughly discredited yourselves that, like, we're just not even interested in having a conversation with you anymore. There's no point in arguing anymore. We're just going to go do our own thing. So that is what needs to be done, is we need to establish a new institution of science, a new institution of archaeology. It's happening now, but it's still very fractured. We do have things like the Cosmic Summit where a lot of people are coming together. I'm going to see if Zoom is ready again, because StreamYard just doesn't work well for me for whatever reasons. I just have very low quality. There we go. Very low quality streams on StreamYard. I don't know why. There's a delay between the audio and the video. The video quality is terrible. So it looks like I'm good to go on Zoom again, and that's what I'm going to do. I really do need to find a better way of getting this all done, though. Because this is not the smoothest show here. All right. Here's the invite link, by the way. Feel free to call in. I purposefully did not post the invite link earlier because I wanted to get through my rants. And I've still got some ranting left to do, but feel free to call in at this point. Alrighty, we're back. So we need to establish a new unified institution. People are very fractured right now. There's the Cosmic Summit, which is very cool and is growing and is drawing more and more people together, which is fantastic. But we need to start creating, someone said it earlier, internet repositories of information. I'm not a web developer. I'm not going to do this. But if someone out there is, maybe you can. There are websites like Stolen History, but there's websites like megalithics.co.uk. I think that's what it was, at least. Going off memory here. But that was a website where people could submit, megalithic sites, and then they could travel to those megalithic sites and provide user-provided images and descriptions and thoughts. And it's this community-driven, repository of information, a fantastic repository of information. They've got a map of the world where they've got all of the sites mapped out. You can click on different areas of the world. You can look at, okay, what do they got going over in Sweden here? All right, what's and they've got it different, icons on there. So it's like, this one's a pyramid, this one's a dolmen, this one's whatever. So it's a fantastic website, but we need more stuff like that. And with the search engines, even if you make a website like that, if it gets delisted like Stolen History did, it becomes a website that only exists to people that already know about it. And that's not a useless thing, but it's certainly not what we want. So how do you circumvent that? Okay? And currently, this could always change, but the more people who get involved in this, the harder it will become to change. YouTube and other video hosting sites, but YouTube actually has a functioning search engine still. You can actually find old content and specific content on YouTube still. Yes, there is some shadow banning, there is some suppression, but it's nowhere near the levels of the search engines of the general internet. And also, there's like, say you find a channel, okay, you still have their catalog. It's fully accessible. You can just go back into their catalog and look through there. So it's the ability to access information that's not explicitly whitelisted on YouTube is leaps and bounds beyond the rest of the general internet. So what you can do is you can make a channel and you can start uploading videos of history. So specifically, if you have in your searches, you come across an interesting archaeological site, an interesting ancient site, and it's got some information with it. You've got a location, a date, even better if you have things like the archaeologists who excavated it, when it was excavated, stuff like that. Like, the more information you have, the better. But you can save those. Just save those things, put them in a slideshow, put the information at the bottom, upload it as a video, right? There's already a large amount of that kind of stuff on YouTube. But if there's, say, 10 people who are doing this on YouTube, it's very easy for YouTube to erase that. The less people involved, the easier it is for them to just click a button, go, you're gone, all your videos are gone, you're out of here. And the smaller that community is, the more easy they can get away with that without even anyone noticing. But the more people who get involved in this, the more difficult it becomes for them to do a purge like that. Currently, even with as censored as YouTube is, this is something that's still allowed, especially if it's just historical information, and you're not doing things like questioning the Holocaust. Share these things on Twitter. Share these things on Facebook. Download these things and save them to your hard drive. Go find lists of books, especially old books, and just make lists of books. Save the lists, because those books are going to be disappearing. Those books are going to be harder and harder to find. You're not even going to know they existed, much less be able to go pick them out from a library. Start archiving things. I would say use the Internet Archive, but the Internet Archive might not be around for much longer. Do use the Internet Archive, right? But have a backup. Have like a physical hard drive or something. Save this stuff. Share this stuff. Share it wherever you can. Twitter, Facebook, VK, YouTube, Rumble, whatever. The more people that are doing this, the more difficult it becomes for them to purge it all. And like the whitelisting really controls search engines, but to a degree, these social media sites, it's like they obviously do censor and control them, but there's limits to what they can do without at least without being too blatant about it. And so right now they're kind of, it also helps get other people interested in this topic. It helps bring more people into this new institution of new archaeology. um, there was something, oh right, AI. So shifting back to the first topic a little bit, because something that I didn't cover was AI. And it goes hand in hand with this 1984 idea. It also goes hand in hand with just the general idea of censorship. I mean, I talked about the silly idea that like 20 years from now you could get thrown in the gulag for saying that the UK used to be a white country. Um, Not really joking about it's funny, but I'm not really joking about that, unfortunately. Um, but AI is going to compound this a million times over. So I did mention that you're more likely to get results if you search for an event that happened 10 years ago. You're more likely to get results from an AI writing an article, within the last 6 months about that thing than you are to actually get results from 10 years ago from that event. Um, and this is going to continue getting worse and worse and worse, um, to the point that, like I said, the only information you're allowed to see is today's information, and it's all generated by AI. Um, but also like images. I am increasingly seeing AI images of ancient historical sites. They're not real. They're AI. It's already affecting things now, but in an effort to erase and obfuscate history, you're going to start seeing this ramping up, way, 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 way up very soon. This is imminent. This is like the most immediate part of all of this, probably. Um, and I think it's very likely that you will see more laws enacted, and maybe not even laws. Maybe it's just social media policies and internet search policies or stuff like that. But they are going to be cracking down on AI generated stuff, even though everything's going to be AI generated. And it's just going to be used to criminalize and remove even more history, and even more. Things are. It's hard to say the exact route that AI will take, but it's an absolute breeze and certainty to say that it's going to be incredibly detrimental for history and everything in general. Um, but right now, their intentions are to quietly erase history and just happen without anyone raising a stink, without anyone even really realizing. That's their goal, that's their intention. And unless you guys step up and everybody steps up and pushes back, that's what's going to happen. But like I said, I think there's a real, genuine opportunity and ability to push back in this specific instance and in this regard. You can start saving information. You can start creating catalogs. We can start building a community. We can start building websites. We can start building these repositories of information, separate, removed from these old institutions. It's a daunting task to start the science of history over again, but that's what needs to be done. And we've made good progress in doing that. We are on the right path to do that. It is happening already. We are already doing that. We just need to be even more proactive in it. We need to get more people woken up to the idea that it's possible, that the mainstream isn't worth our time and effort. They're a lost cause. that, people like Wandering Wolf, and anyone can be a people like Wandering Wolf, are able to do this work and progress it on their own. We've got the Cosmic Summit, bringing people together, building a community, building an institution, building a foundation. And we need to continue doing that, bringing people into the fold, sharing information, saving information. I've talked about how stuff I've talked about on this channel, I can't find anymore. I struggle to find things that I've looked up within the last year. The information is going to continue disappearing, and it's going to continue disappearing at a faster and faster pace. This is a very imminent threat. If we do not take immediate action, if we do not start preserving this stuff, if we do not start creating a record and saving this stuff, it is all going to be gone. But we can do all of that. We can create a record. We can save this stuff. We can stop the destruction of history. And like I said, if they succeed in destroying history and rewriting history, they're unstoppable. They can do anything they want. Their tyranny will know no bounds. This is the fate of humanity that I'm talking about, and you genuinely have the ability to change it. You genuinely have the ability to be a massive thorn in these people's sides and stop the erasure of history. So I really, really want to stress the hope, right? This situation is about as dire as it could possibly be. But I truly see a path where we stop it. I truly see the ability of us to come together and form a new community and to stop the erasure of history. It doesn't take anything drastic. It doesn't take anything, you don't have to go out and risk your life. Create lists of books. Save museum, go find museums online and Internet Archive, especially anything related to America. If you find stuff related to Native Americans that's still uploaded, save that shit, man. But do it for everywhere. America made their history illegal. What's to stop other countries from joining in? Right? Again, the trend is not that more information is going to be made available to the public. The trend is absolutely that less and less and less will be made available. So we need to start saving this stuff. We need to start preserving this stuff. And we can tell them to go fuck themselves. Megalithic mama. Yes, it's AI. AI's got again. There's so many angles of attack that can be used with AI, and maybe they'll just use all of them. It's hard to say exactly how it'll be utilized, but the AI itself, muddying waters, creating fake news, creating fake articles, creating this narrative of now. The AI can absolutely create this narrative of now, but also okay, then what's like the government response to AI? What's the social media response to AI? What are the drastic measures that are going to be taken to combat the misinformation? So yeah, it's again, the acceleration is accelerating, Mr. Laser. It's basically what you just said there. Yeah. So that's the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys understand the seriousness of the situation that we're in right now, the situation we're facing. And I also hope you understand that it's not hopeless. Like, I'm actually really optimistic about this. This could go horribly. The enslavement of the entire human race once they erase all of history, or people could put a stop to it. And it's the most reasonable methods of serious resistance that I can think of. Again, so much is wrong with the world, but what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to solve the world's problems? Nothing, right? But this, you can actually do something. You can do a lot of something. Like, yeah, you can make a genuine difference. You can save the goddamn world. You can save humanity. That sounds hyperbolic, but I don't think it is. I really mean that. So don't be too down and too depressed. The situation is very depressing, but there's a lot of hope here. We can actually make a difference. We can put a stop to this. So that's the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Exciting stuff next week. Hopefully, unless I change my mind again, which I do often. Vases and nubs should be a fun time. I'll catch you guys next week. Peace out, fellas.